Hello, my name's Josh and I'm a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. I've recently been through a divorce and thanks for coming back to my channel. Today I'd like to talk about a lesson that I've learned a few times through, and I've seen it as a prominent issue with people that are going through divorce or that are divorced. And that's this idea of comparisons. Comparisons are something we're kind of taught often not to be very careful with comparisons. But it gets a little tricky in the realm of divorce. So I just like to share a couple thoughts that I've had over the past while, really, about it. But first, I'd like to start with something that I heard someone say one time in a talk that I thought was really profound, and use this as kind of the basis for the rest of the thoughts that I have on the topic. First, she made the point that the real danger with comparisons is that we either start to see someone as having more than us or being better than us or whatever the case may be. And when that happens, we begin to resent the other person. We begin to probably say things or do things to tear that other person down. And on top of that, we start to put ourselves down and we start to really disparage our own character, our own abilities, and whatever it may be. But we really become extremely hard on ourselves in a way that is not healthy. The alternative is that we see someone else, and when we start comparing ourselves to them, we become prideful. We begin to be puffed up. We begin to think that we're better than them, that maybe they deserve what they have in their life, or whatever the case may be. And we begin to, again, ultimately become prideful and boastful. And that in either case, God is not in either of those results. God doesn't want us to be prideful. He doesn't want us to beat ourselves up. He doesn't want us to be boastful, nor does he want us to resent people. So that is the real danger is with comparisons, is that it so easily leads us down those two paths that the Lord has nothing to do with. And so, especially while we're going through divorce and while we are, learning to be single again, comparisons are not really a good thing. The only, one of the common sayings is the only thing we should compare ourselves against is ourself from the day before. I think that's probably the healthiest comparison. So, and I should say, it isn't to say that there's not a place for comparisons. We need to know dark from light, right from wrong, things of that nature. So some comparisons can serve a purpose that is valuable. But oftentimes I should say for myself, I'll take it too far, and I've seen others take it too far as well. Where it really becomes dangerous, especially in the divorce process, because we're really hurting, is we start looking at other people, maybe other couples in your ward or friends, and you think, well, how's their marriage working out? And then you start coming up and concocting ideas on what they're doing or what they're not doing, or whatever the case may be. And it's very easy to either tear ourselves down or to become prideful and boastful, or to begin to tear them down, whatever it is. It's really easy to do that. And it really stems from the fact that we're just hurt because our marriage is falling apart or our marriage fell apart. And I see that a lot. Another real danger that I see is comparing ourselves to our former spouse. That one is extremely dangerous because we only see what's happening right now, and we have a very limited view of what's happening right now. The truth is, we don't know what the future holds. We don't know what 30 years from now is going to look like. But what I do know is that if I make the right choices and if I try to do the right things, then I know that I'll be blessed, and I know that I'll receive the blessings that Heavenly Father wants me to receive. So I can't compare myself to my former spouse at all. Right, wrong, happy, sad, it doesn't matter. It is pointless to compare myself to my former spouse. And that's really hard, especially, I've known people where their spouse leaves and very quickly, had an adulterous relationship and very quickly runs off and gets married, and their spouse appears to be happy. But the reality is you have no idea what their life is like. They may be miserable, and all you're seeing is a side that looks happy. So, the comparisons there, although easy to make, are dangerous and really shouldn't be made. The other option or the other side of that I see is on the single side. Sometimes I hear, people start dating and I'll hear someone say, "Oh, how did she get a boyfriend?" Or, "Oh, how did he get a girlfriend?" Or things of that nature. And usually what that goes to is, why am I not good enough to have a boyfriend or a girlfriend? Or why am I not good enough to this? There's a lot of that. Or they'll say, well, that person is this, 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 and this. I mean, how can they have a significant other right now? And that gets really dangerous too, because we're comparing ourselves to those people. And really what we're saying is, we're upset because we feel we're not enough to have the thing that they have. We want what they have. Even if it's not what the relationship with the person they're in, we just want to be in a relationship and we aren't. And so we're unhappy about it. So potentially we're tearing down their relationship to make ourselves feel better. Again, God's not in that result. I don't think the Lord's pleased with that at all. So when it comes to comparisons, the best thing we can do is compare ourselves against yesterday. And maybe yesterday's too hard. So maybe it's, where was I 5 months ago? Where was I 6 months ago? Because the truth is, people are probably comparing themselves to you too. And it's not helping them any. And so we shouldn't really be comparing ourselves. And in all fairness, and I hear this often, and I think it's very true, that I can say this in my case too. Most people, upon finding out that my ex and I were getting divorced, were shocked. They had no idea any of the problems we've been having. None. And so I have to think the same. Like, I have no idea what's going on with people, generally speaking, unless they're really communicating it with me. I have no idea what's going on. So therefore, to make a comparison is just a bad thing, because it's really a comparison made in ignorance. So these are just a couple lessons that I've learned, both from experiencing it myself and then meeting other people going through divorce and other people who are single. We need to do our best to avoid comparisons to other people or to other situations. Ultimately, the Lord is the one that has the whole story. He knows what's really going on. He knows whether people really are happy or really are sad. If people are really being honest or if people are actually lying. If people are being fair or if they're being unfair. He knows it. And the atonement covers all of it. And in the end, that's what we have to focus on, right? Is our role in this. What can I work on in myself? What can I change? Because ultimately, again, it boils down to, what can I control? I only control myself. That's all I control. So I'll just focus on that, because that's going to pay the biggest dividends in the end. And that way, if I make a comparison, it's hopefully a healthy comparison. Because I think it's okay to look at someone and admire them, say, oh, that person is a really kind person. I'd love to be as kind as that person someday. But there's no animosity in that statement. There's nothing. It's just admiration of a quality that someone has. And ultimately, I think that's okay. But that's really about it. When it comes to comparing ourselves to other people. So just admiring them for what they have and thinking to yourselves, oh, maybe I can become like that someday, and working towards that. I can control working on something. Anyways, my name's Josh, and I'm a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. I have a testimony of the gospel and of this church, but this channel is not endorsed by the church. I'm not a therapist or a counselor. I'm just someone who been through a divorce and learned some lessons and still learning lessons, and hopefully they help you too. Thanks for coming to my channel.